Cons for consistent social media posts. Thank you, Cons. We sold over 180 individual tickets, 15 sponsorship packages, and we generated $52,000 in revenue. $4,000 over our goal of $48,000. You know what's amazing about that is so like the benchmarks for success over the past several years have really changed. Like we now hold ourselves to a much higher fundraising standard. This amount is going to do wonders for our Democratic community. Thank you to everybody who donated to the Victory Dinner. Thank you. Also, thank you to everybody who helped out with the Victory Dinner committee. Is Meg Flores here? Meg and Noah, thank you for your hard work. McGlynn, Andrew, Etheridge, Jordan, let's see, Sam Perez, sitting right here, our concierge, Sarah Florence, and our BBD co-chairs, they're in the room, Brian Atkins, Maureen Walsh. Thank you so much for managing a terrific event. Brian, how are you? Brian. Seriously, where's Brian?
Right there.
Oh, Brian, stand up. Yeah, thank you. Excellent event. We're going to bring back our volunteer fair. Volunteer fair coming back on Wednesday, May 15th at Lover Run Community Center. If you're on the steering committee, you're getting anxious, ordering on harassing emails from me about this. Make sure that you come. We are really looking forward to you sharing what it is that you do for this Democratic committee for a whole new group of volunteers who are coming in and wondering, where do I fit in this committee? You really are a welcoming bunch of people. Thanks. School board endorsement vote is ongoing right now. You can vote online Saturday, until Saturday, May 11th. Electronic ballot requests are due by Thursday, May 10th. After that, you'll be able to vote at one of 3 terrific voting locations. Sunday, May 5th at Washington Liberty High School, Wednesday, May 8th at Hoffman Boston Elementary School, and on Saturday, May 11th at, right here, Charles Drew Elementary School. We're looking forward to seeing you come out next. We have 4 terrific candidates this year. Candidates who are in the room, stand up. Where are you? Candidates, thank you for running. Thank you for your commitment to our public schools. Thank you for being good Democrats. And a round of applause for them. Thank you. Thanks. And if you want more information about our school board, of course, go take a phone right now. Take that and I'll get the page on board. Thanks. Oh, thank you. That's a great point. Was that Carol Burnett? Who was that? Yes, Carol Burnett. We need volunteers. Was that QR code for the volunteer thing? No. Okay, Steve sent around a link for volunteers. We are in need of volunteers. Please sign up for it. We need you. ACD convention is coming up. The purpose of this is to elect our 8 delegates to the Democratic National Convention, nominate 1 member to each permanent convention committee, and choose our presidential elector for the ACD. That is the person that goes down to Richmond and casts a vote for what will be Joe Biden for president. ACD convention is going to be on Saturday, May 13th. 18th. Marco, 18th, thank you. At Alexandria City High School. Next slide. And actually, if you have an interest in becoming a delegate, there is a chance that we're going to have some open slots. So what I invite you to do here is take out your phone and please scan that QR code and fill out a very short form indicating your interest. If you're able to attend, I'm inviting you to please fill this out. We need folks in our Arlington delegation to really make sure that we have great Arlington representation at the ACD convention. All right, and with this, I am going to transition over to Sangeeta to tell us about Asian American Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Heritage Fund.
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, so May is Asian American Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Month. I just want to share a couple of things. Next slide, please. So this wasn't posted today on the White House website, the Democrats.org posted it, but I already said in my slides, it's a little late, but. So Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders represent us at every level of government, including Vice President Kamala Harris, the first Vice President of South Asian descent, and she's South Indian like me and Canadian over there. Ambassador Catherine Tai, the first Asian American United States Trade Representative, Dr. R.J. Prabhakar, who is the first South Asian to lead the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, and Julie Su to serve as Secretary of Labor. And then this year, President Biden appointed 2 Asian Americans to committee trade policy and negotiations, Omar Khan and Mitch Patel. Next slide, please. Oh, we're skipping that. Next slide. Okay, so tonight we have a guest speaker, and his name is Varun. Varun has served as founding executive director of the AAPI Victory Alliance, a national AAPI 501c4 organization since its inception in 2017. AAPI Victory Alliance works to build Asian American and Pacific Islander political power across the country by providing education on progressive issues, creating and advocating for policies that affect our communities, and building alliances with organizations to help AAPIs exert their power and be the margin of victory at the local, state, and national levels. Varun has also served as the founding president of the AAPI Victory Fund from 2015 to 2021, a national super PAC focusing on mobilizing AAPI voters. He's previously served as the COO of Tadico Strategies, a communications and political strategy firm, incorporating cutting-edge social media and technology. In 1999, he was appointed by President Bill Clinton as special assistant to the U.S. Department of Education, where he managed day-to-day responsibilities of the distance education demonstration program and served as liaison for 8 major education technology program initiatives. He was appointed by Governor Chairman Pollock to the boards of the Virginia Commercial Spaceflight Authority and Virginia Offshore Wind Development Authority from 2015-2017. He also served on the board of the Democratic Business Council of Northern Virginia after having served as past president of the organization. Varun has lived in Arlington for over 30 years. He is married with 2 children who are proud products of Arlington Public Schools and Virginia universities. Please welcome my friend Varun Kaur.
Hi, everyone. It's so good to see some familiar faces and new faces. It's great to be with you. On the last slide, it said that I was appointed in the administration back in too long ago. But I got my start in the administration because of the work that I did here in Arlington County. That's what got me noticed. So thank you so much. Arlington got a special place in my heart, giving me the start of politics. So all back to you. So I wanted to, if you could just indulge me, I've been focused on Asian American politics for most of my political career. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about an experiment that we ran a couple months ago, which has practical applications, I think, for even folks at the local level. But I'll start by maybe talking about our organization, which is, as Cindy mentioned, a national 501c4 organization. We focus on turning out Asian Americans, primarily in battleground states, but not always. We do a lot of work in Virginia, especially in the off-cycle years. But hopefully today's presentation has some practical application. So AAPIs are probably the most complex demographic in the United States of America to do outreach. And it's because we are not an ethnicity. AAPI is a made-up name by somebody in the census in the 70s, we suspect, when our population size was only 1 million, and now we're 24 million. But some other stats, we come from over 30 nations of origin. We speak over 100 major languages and dialects. See 60% are first generation immigrant. So they've got 1 foot in this country, they've got 1 foot in their home countries. But what we're going to focus on today is in the top right corner, 34% are limited English proficient. They may speak a little English, but they prefer obviously to have their voting information, their political information and language. Okay, so you've all heard of AI, it's been sort of the topic du jour, if you watch or read anything these days. And so we got really excited about a year and a half ago when ChatGPT and other AI products came on the scene. So immediately we were looking at the fact that how could AI assist in some of our language work, our messaging work, because API groups are typically the last of all major groups to get funded. And so we have to figure out smart ways to, use technology in this space to get out in front, maybe leapfrog, how we reach our voters today. So what we wanted to do, we received a very small grant from a group called Higher Ground Labs to test out AI. So we submitted a proposal and we said we wanted to test out how good AI is in language translation and message refinement. And so on the left here, we took 5 different issues about violence, climate, repro, education, and economics. These were the top 5 issues according to surveys. What were the most important things in elections going into 2024. And we took the best messages from various groups. So on gun violence, we took every town for gun safety's most, highest performing message. Climate, it was, I think, Sierra Club or NRDC, repro was Planned Parenthood, et cetera. And then we put it into 2 different translation engines, AI translation engines, and we essentially said, okay, AI, you translate this into the 6 languages that are on the bottom there. Chinese, Hindi, Hmong, Vietnamese, Tagalog, and Korean. Those are the 6 languages amongst API groups that are spoken in the 8 battleground states that are going to determine the fate of our nation in November. And so we translated it, and then we said, okay, another set of AI tools, I think it was ChatGPT and Claude, and we said, okay, let's see how good you are at refining the message and coming up with a message that you think is going to resonate with that specific community. And then at the end, we found about 60 native language speakers of the 6 nations of origin that speak these languages, and we tested it. And that's what you'll see on the next slide with the results from. So on the messages sorry, this is the translation. On the translations themselves, AI did a really good job. In 5 out of the 6 languages, when you translated these specific issues, essentially it was pretty good. Vietnamese was the one language where more work is needed. Next slide. Okay. Go back, please. That's the next slide. All right. So on the messages themselves, actually go forward. Maybe this is better. Your apologies. So we asked how good did we asked the focus group participants how good did it do in translation? Pretty good. How well did it do in terms of convincing you, that you should turn out to vote based on this message? And once again, it did a pretty good job. Other than I think it's AI did a good job in economics, but it needs some work in some of the other issues. Though, without getting too much into the details, the bottom line is, you can go forward. The bottom line is that AI did a really good job in translation and message refinement. And so, next slide. To bottom line this, the second bullet, cut message refinement down to 30 minutes from 2.5 hours. So we estimated it would take 2.5 hours from start to finish translation and message refinement, and it got it down to 30 minutes. And this was just a quick and dirty test. This wasn't anything scientific. So an 80% reduction in the time. If we're running digital campaigns, we could probably get it down to 5 to 10 minutes per message. And when you are trying to get thousands of messages out to see what sticks online, on social media, especially at a time when all the major platforms have de-emphasized political content, as well as made it really hard to post what you want, it's really hard to break through and get your message across to people. And so when you can test thousands of messages online and have something break through, that is game changing. I'm gonna skip to the next slide. So what's next? Right, here are all the other areas we've been very quickly able to identify where AI could assist us in countering this and disinformation. Most platforms monitor in English and maybe in Spanish. So Facebook, Meta, WhatsApp, occasionally they'll monitor in English and in Spanish. They don't do it in Tagalog, they don't do it in Vietnamese, and that is where some of the worst disinformation actually happens. If you're part of any WhatsApp groups or anything like that, even TikTok occasionally, ethnicity identification. You can go to the voter file now and see where it may list Vietnamese or Chinese next to person in the voter file. But in cases, probably like in 50 to 70% of the cases, there is no ethnicity identification, or it's wrong. Right, and so if you're talking about reaching voters who are first generation immigrant, have limited efficiency, you need that, right? You need that ethnicity information in order to talk to the voter. And that's what AI can help you with. Rapid message refinement, of course, we mentioned polling analysis. So we did a poll in Virginia of API voters in the 23 election, and I had the result from the pollsters Salida Lake was 10 top line pages, 150 pages of what's called crosstabs. As an executive director of a small organization, I don't have time to go through 150 pages of crosstabs. Now you can upload that into AI and it can tell you, you need to train the model, of course, but it can tell you what are important pieces of information. Perhaps it might say you want to talk to an 18 to 30-year-old Vietnamese female who lives in Southwest Virginia on this topic. That's what it has the ability to potentially do, I would say, this year. And then policy analysis. You can upload entire pieces of potential legislation from the legislature, and we get, once again, train the model and say, okay, is this going to be good for the API community or bad for the API community? And here's why. So this would have been possible because you've got, a lot of legislation, you've got a lot of pages, you've got nuance, related to the legislative proposals themselves. So now this is in the realm of possibility. We've actually seen Stacey Abrams' organization, Verified in Georgia, use this, come up with one or two paragraphs when they're knocking on the door and say, what this legislation is doing for your community. So it's already being applied in the real world. We think that it could potentially even disrupt the entire think tank landscape. You might not need 100 people doing legislative analysis. We could just so this is just a small sort of top line look at what AI could potentially do. And we're trying to build out an API, not too many A's, a think tank, so we can study this, test it, get it out to local groups, get it out to folks all around the nation, so we can leapfrog the other side. They're going to use it, but probably in not nice ways. Thank you very much for your time. I'll be out there.
Round of applause for Varun. Thank you, Varun. He is a retweet to get to win Democrats will. And this actually just reminded me that I'm Keith Jane, our former Arlington Democrat, started here in Arlington, now running for DC Shadow Senator, won our Newcomer of the Year award. This is a great place, it's a breeding ground for great Democrats. So I'm really proud of him and that. I'm going to invite up our General Assembly delegation, and we're going to just do a quick stage check here and get rolling on our legislative update. Right, so this is the part now where I get to ask the tough questions. I'd like to welcome to the stage, Delegate Adele McClure. Senator Adam Abbott. Delegate Council Lopez. And Senator Robert Nicola. I'm gonna pass along the microphone. I think it's pretty light, you know, we're gonna do 3-minute intros, I'm gonna ask some questions, and we're gonna open it up to some audience questions. Sound good? Awesome. All right, Delegate Adele McClure. Well, thanks.
Man, what do I do with 3 minutes? Delegate Adele McClure, I represent the second House district, which encompasses part of Boston, Clarendon Courthouse, Roslyn, Pentagon City, and Crystal City. I am the newest member of the delegation, and also in honor of AAPI month, I am the first Asian American person to be elected to the General Assembly representing Harlem. Very excited about that, and had a really great legislative session, so can't wait to talk to you more about that. Also, I got appointed to serve on a number of different committees, including public safety, which includes the firearms subcommittee, so I get to say no to all the really bad gun bills. And also, yes, the big class, also the gun violence prevention bills that we get to pass, which are extremely important. And then in addition to that, I serve on the General Law Committee, which deals with a lot of the housing bills, which is really, of course, one of the priorities in Arlington is to prioritize housing and access to that. Yeah, thank you. And then the other one that I serve on that is extremely important to the region is the Transportation Committee. So very proud to serve on that. And then in addition to what I do with the General Assembly, I have just been appointed by the Speaker to a number of commissions outside of the legislative session. That includes the Housing Commission, the Addiction and Recovery Council, and the Behavioral Health Committee, otherwise known as the DEED Committee. So had a really great first legislative session. And then also, I don't want this day to go by without mentioning that today is May Day. So happy May Day. Yeah. And today is International Workers Day, where we remain committed to making sure that we're supporting and protecting workers. And as mentioned, I served on a number of different committees and subcommittees in legislative session, and I was proud to be able to vote for or vote actually against a bill that would have taken away and rolled back the authority that we gave to localities to provide prevailing wage protections. And so Arlington has been a leader in including and requiring prevailing wage ongoing projects. And it's my hope that my beloved county will continue to protect workers and families by ensuring that prevailing wage is included in the upcoming school or career center project. So this happens to be where Arlington is incredibly important when it comes to worker protections. So I'm just really excited to be here and serve with my delegation. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm Adam Evans from the State Senate, representing Pentagon City and Crystal City. This year, in 60 days, considered 3,595 bills that were introduced. We passed 2,281 of them, 838 were signed, and a record 50 were vetoed. I chair our General Laws and Technology Committee in the Senate. I co-chair our Gun Violence Prevention Caucus, and I'm also returning to four of the committee's finance and appropriations, rules, commerce and labor, and privileges and elections. I had 14 of my bills signed, 2 of them were vetoed and 2 were still awaiting action, which means that we did not accept the governor's amendments and we don't expect 2 left of it will actually sign them in the form passed. One of the bills I was proud to pass was an affirmation, and it was signed, that would codify the same-sex interracial marriage license protections in Virginia. It's really update our Virginia Constitution to conform with the realities of the 21st century. We'll begin that process at the next session. I passed legislation on first-time drug offender reform, penalties for having or distributing firearms removed for all serial numbers, protections for nonpartisan election officials, and a number of other bills, including with Delegate Patrick Hope. We were really proud to regulate the licensing of tobacco and vape dealers so that they can use their. And those are some of the bills we passed, but we're kind of in a, and I had a few bills vetoed. One was preventing the open carry of assault style weapons, that was vetoed by the governor. And the other one that was vetoed was an update to the Virginia Values Act, which would have affirmed the number of employees threshold that are protected, and we're awaiting legislation on my bill banning ghost guns with Delegate Marcus Simon of Fairfax. And another one that we had prohibiting landlords from charging tenants fees for unit maintenance or repair or fees for submitting rent online. We did pass a study by both chambers for the Northern Virginia Transportation, or I should say transit, for funding Metro into the future, because as you know, we're getting very short on Metro and puts that money in the budget for that. I'm going to pass on to Doug Lopez, just to mention where we are now. It's an unusual place, and that we passed a budget, a bipartisan budget, a good budget, that the governor submitted hundreds of amendments to that would have thrown it out of whack. And we agreed that what we're going to do is we're going to start over with the new budget on May 13th, and we're scheduled to go to Richmond, but we need to have our conferees come up with the budget through governor on something before then. So we're hoping to come up with some with the second bipartisan budget.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Alfonso Lopez. I represent lucky to represent the 3rd House of Delegates District, which we are in right now, which is basically everything south of Route 50 and west of 395. So basically all of South Arlington, except for 4 precincts in the city of Alexandria. I've been in this is my 13th year in the House of Delegates. I am number 10 in seniority for the House Democrats and number 19 in seniority for the House of Delegates. If this was the 1950s or 60s, I'd still be in the high 80s in terms of seniority. But I serve as the chair of basically the Environment Committee, which is called Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources, as well as the chair of the Labor and Workforce Subcommittee on the Commerce and Labor Committee. I'm also a member of the Firearms Subcommittee, which was Delegate to the floor, and a member of the Public Safety Committee, and I'm also on CTI, which is Communications, Technology, and Innovation. I put in 29 bills out of the 194 that are on my Excel spreadsheet. Got 15 of them passed. The governor and I had several disagreements about a bunch of bills, including 75 amendments on bills, 3 that are essentially gutting the bill about saying he's vetoing it, and then also 5 vetoes. And let me just read you what the vetoes go on. Student involvement in school board decisions. Chemical storage, finally regulating above ground chemical storage tanks across Virginia and avoiding some of the horrible incidents that have happened around the country. Something to basically the local environment innovation funds allow localities, if they so choose, to have a system where they can create grants for local businesses to be environmentally friendly. Legislation to this one hurts. Get rid of divisive slurs in the Virginia Code as it relates to new Americans and immigrants, and specifically Latinos, that still exists in the Code of Virginia. And then also language to essentially make it so that immigrants and new Americans who maybe don't understand the judicial system are alerted to the fact that whatever they plead, if it meets a certain threshold, even though it might be a minor plea agreement, can still have immigration detention and deportation impacts. He vetoed that bill. That's a good move, folks. So some of the things I'm very proud of, historic rehabilitation tax credit that actually increased and actually helped us revitalize downtowns. Things on junk fees, getting rid of junk fees as it relates to lease agreements for individuals who are renting. Increasing funding for something I created in 2015 called Virginia Affordable Housing Trust Fund, getting that up to $175 billion. Language for the Forest Sustainability Fund, Soil and Water Conservation Act, several agriculture bills, trigger locks being added to the bill I put in last year. It's one of the only bills out of the 96 that passed to actually move us forward on sensible gun violence prevention, adding trigger locks to that this year. Some of the things that, we did not get passed right away, which we are in desperate need of doing, is something called greenbacks. Right now, the federal government under the IRA and the BIL have put aside around $270 billion for renewable energy and clean energy programs for states, if they have a green infrastructure bank. Guess who doesn't have a green infrastructure bank? The Commonwealth of Virginia. So Scott Serval, my roommates in Richmond, and I put that bill in this, and we got it passed. We got $10 million in the budget to fund it, which would allow us to draw down around $310 million out of the federal government. Here's the issue. Because the governor didn't like the fact that the power to appoint the board members of the bank was equal with the House, Senate, and the governor, and he wanted all of that power himself, he basically gutted the bill. We rejected the amendments, and it's on him right now as to whether or not the first $14 billion that are going to come out on July 1st, Virginia can access. Because if he vetoes that bill, we don't get that money. What does that mean? That money goes to North Carolina, South Dakota, Illinois, Michigan. It doesn't come to Virginia. That makes me sort of angry. Two other things that I'm very proud of, and I'll pass the mic to the amazing Barbara Villa. Who here has ever been towed by? Guess what we did? After 5.5 years of tooth and nail fighting, we finally addressed what is ostensibly predatory towing in the state. I'm very proud of what we did, and part on that with Delegate McClure, and Delegate and Senator Vola of the Senate, but we finally got that done. The other piece that I'm very proud of is that on vape shops, right now, where I see near our schools and daycare centers, you can see vape shops, right? Especially in South Carolina. So we basically made it so that if a locality so chooses by local ordinance, they may put in a local ordinance that says a vape shop, tobacco shop, hemp shop may not be located within 1,000 linear feet of a school or daycare center. Fine. So here's the thing, folks. We've got to make sure that we have democratic government in 2020. 153 vetoes, 233 amendments to the budget. Rolling back everything that we value is not okay. So Arlington can make it happen. So thank you for being here tonight.
Well, good evening to all of you. Thank you so much for coming out. I'm Senator Barbara Vola, and now my entire Senate district is contained within Arlington County. And Mr. Representative Fairfax, my whole district is within Arlington, absent 5 precincts, which are in Crystal City and Adam can claim. So I sit on 5 committees. I chair the Rehabilitation and Social Services Committee, which has oversight over our state prisons and our regional and local jails. So all the prison reform, the operations of prisons, all of that comes to my committee. We also have a lot of say over child welfare programs. I sit with Adam on the Finance and Appropriations Committee, the Rules Committee, Education and Health. I chair the Health Subcommittee on that. And Agriculture and Natural Resources, where we work on environmental issues. So I have a very busy docket. 20 of my bills have been signed by the governor and will become law. I can tell you some of the categories. I don't have time to go over all 20. One was a major bill, a kinship care bill, which will provide support to relative caretakers who choose to care their children who might otherwise go to foster care. So that was really important. We have so many actually grandparents who are taking care of grandchildren and they need that financial support. It took us a long time to get that bill through, but the governor signed it. I did also work with a Republican Delegate Carrie Pointer to reform many aspects of our special education system in the IEP process. So I worked with parent groups and school systems, and UVA Law Clinic actually helped me draft the bill before I put it into our legislative services drafting. So we could completely conform to the federal IDA law and actually make significant improvements. The governor signed the bill. They did get $4 million in the budget. And the governor didn't take that out. So I'm very, very proud of that. My other bills really focused in the healthcare space, what I do professionally, it's what I understand and know. So that's a nice an entryway, I guess, to doing what might make a difference. But anyways, on a couple of my bills, I improved the quality of care in our psychiatric facilities. I improve our staffing. I ensure, I hope, that individuals who are on a temporary detention disorder, but are really displaying a neurocognitive issue, or they're on the spectrum, the autism spectrum, get appropriate care. I also had several bills in the disability area to ensure that individuals who were in a home care situation, but their family members were caring for them, that those family members could continue to access some Medicaid dollars, right? That would be very big deal. So those are sort of the general cluster of my bills. Then, of course, I had several bills the government really didn't like because we had white lines in the General Assembly, not between the House and Senate, the majority parties in the House and Senate, but between the minority parties in the House and Senate and the governor. Those bright lines brought, were on either side of the gun safety issue. I tried to ensure that firearms were removed from those who were convicted of domestic abuse. He vetoed that bill, even though it was already the law that they give up their firearm. Very confusing. I had a bill to ensure that our healthcare providers were not extradited to a state that they end abortion if they provided abortion care to an individual who came from out of state. And the bill also protected that patient coming from out of state to get abortion care. Little did I know just how impactful that bill really could have been. He vetoed it, and in his veto message, he got confused. He thought I was protecting providers in states that banned abortion. So he got a little mixed up, but Delegate Marcus Simon and I straightened him out. We, told the press that the governor misread the bill. And then, of course, he did, a bill that would have improved our probation process. I had a bill with Delegate Paulson that actually would have provided incentives for individuals who were on probation if they went back to school, if they went to different treatment programs. We had a list of criteria. He vetoed that bill. It's very disappointing. And I had a few other bills along the same lines, which didn't meet his cultural limits test. So that's about where we were. And I can tell that our moderator really wants to take the microphone. So here we go.
We've never struck our guests. Well, we talked a lot about what we're proud of. I think we can maybe chat about what we're not proud of in this session, and that's specifically this governor. House delegates projected all 233 of the governor's amendments to the budget, decided to seek a new budget. That's going into special session starting on May 13th. As we're planning a special session, I'm just wondering if any of you would like to comment on what you're hoping the areas of agreement with the governor.
I'll start and I'll pass it along. The purpose of the special session is specifically to address the budget. And I'm hoping that means our conference committees will actually have a budget that they feel defends our democratic values and the governor can do. Frankly, I will say for the Democrats to really bolster the things that are incredibly important to us because of our values, because we want to ensure everybody has an opportunity and a shot at succeeding, would be funding public education at a more robust level than what the governor wants. But that would require an additional revenue stream, and the governor so far has been saying no additional taxes, but he's also said no tax cuts, so I guess that's a good thing. I don't know if there's some wiggle room in there. I'm hoping we can negotiate, we can still perhaps play with a digital download tax. I think that's tax modernization effort, right? We're in the 21st century, all of us buy products online, we all download things from computers. I think having a digital tax makes sense, but I don't really know where we are. I know that according to the newspapers, conversations are starting.
Sure. Things we can agree on, that I've actually had conversations with the governor's staff this week and also some of the conferees this week, is a bill that, I put in and got through both the governor's version of the budget and, our general assembly passed version of the budget. That's this: poverty should not be a barrier to childhood success. All right, what does that mean? That means that there are some times when it has to. Now, Arlington does a very good job of this, already, but the rest of the state doesn't. That's this: AP and International Baccalaureate tests for exam costs. To take AP and IB tests, especially full raft of IB tests, it's around $710. If you're a family of four making less than $25,000 a year, you're a free reduced lunch eligible child, you cannot afford to take those exams. What does that mean? That means you don't get the benefit of that extra point on your GPA. You don't get the benefit of having those credits accepted by college and maybe getting rid of it in your college and saving around $155 million according to college. So I'm very thankful about the fact that I think if everything is working the way I think it will, that language will, after 2 years of working, be in the budget and will be at the level of $73,000 in both years of the final budget, and we will cover all but $20 of the exam costs for AP and IB tests for every free reduced lunch child in Virginia going forward. As it stated today, this governor cut $300 million out of overall education fund. Yeah, $300 million. And so that would have meant around a $12.5 million cut for Arlington County alone. Under the General Assembly budget, we would have actually seen an increase of around $25 million for the Arlington County. So we want to make sure that as this goes forward, that he's actually doing the right thing when it comes to K-12 education. The last thing I want to mention is the regional greenhouse gas emission. RGGI. This governor has consistently tried to take us out of RGGI unilaterally, which you can't do because it's in the state code. All right. As the negotiations go forward, we've been talking to conferees to make sure that they hold firm when it comes to RGGI. And that we do everything we can to stay in that regional greenhouse gas emission, because the stats just came out. Virginia is doing worse this year than last year in terms of greenhouse gas emissions. And what RGGI helps us do is address overall greenhouse gas emissions. And it also brings in around $200 million a year, which goes specifically to coastal flooding remediation and also energy efficiency in low-income homes. So what does that mean? It's a win-win, win-win, win. And he thinks it's a tax. I think he's being short-sighted.
Well, it's a tax on corporate polluters is what it is.
Yes.
And that's one that we can live with to improve our environment. In terms of what we can agree on, Paul, I'd say sometimes we agree on mental health things. Usually we agree on things like the General Assembly increases money for education, governor resists it, and then takes credit for it every time it eventually. So that's about it. On Metro, the governor was not as forthcoming when he thought he had a chance of getting an arena. He was willing to support some money for Metro, which is lifeblood for Northern Virginia's economic development, the state for tax revenue. But he's not been as supportive since. But we need that money. We need more money for Metro.
In terms of, so just to kind of follow up on what the senator said, there is, on lis.virginiaspelledout.gov, if you go look at the budget, it's specifically, well, let me also redirect you to TPI to comment on this too. They have a side-by-side budget comparison that shows you, the governor's amendment compared to the conference report, or the conference committee report between the Senate and House. And there are some things that he did keep in from that, but then obviously he handed down so many amendments that he basically effectively vetoed the budget, which makes us feel like we're gonna have to go back on the 13th. And so it's to be seen what we can agree on. I feel like sometimes he'll say, hey, I'm for this thing, and then he'll turn around and do another. So, he's one of those governors that just does not, understand nor respect the process. But I do wanna highlight, in more detail, some of the things that we fought for that was in the budget that we passed on a bipartisan basis before he handed down all those amendments. We put in 2.5 billion in new investments for K-12 education. And then we also put in a salary increase for teachers in support positions. We also put in 527.7 million, over 2 years to support early childhood care and education programs, and 79.5 million over 2 years to support increasing the state minimum wage to $15 an hour by 2026, and which he vetoed. And correct me if I'm wrong, I know when we passed the Virginia Minimum Wage Act, we also included a portion in there that related to inflation. So whether you like it or not, the minimum wage is going to continue to increase. So that's going to be a point of contention when we come back, is that piece, making sure that we're funding to support that increase in state minimum wage. We also put in 745 million over 2 years for Medicaid and children's health insurance. And then 191 million to add 3,440 Medicaid developmental disability waiver slots, which we all know are extremely important, especially with those waiting lists. And so, hopefully we keep those in. We have 25 million in the first year and 2.6 million in the second year to continue developing mental health crisis infrastructure, and 75.9 million over 2 years to support community violence prevention initiatives. And then lastly, as it was mentioned, 65 million in the first year and 84.5 million in the second year to support WMATA, Metro, Transit. And obviously the delegation, we're going to continue to fight for those investments, especially on the transportation side. We do believe it should be more, but we are excited that we were able to put in that amount in the budget. We're going to continue to fight against his hippie fit to cut that, because he didn't get that in his deal.
Where I was on LIS earlier and looking at your record of this so far in your term, and it is really impressive. Congratulations. I could ask any of these guys questions specific to their area. Delegate Lopez, I saw that you were on MSNBC earlier this year. I know Senator Favola, you've done work with IEP plans. Senator Evan, you talked about your work on civil rights and the marriage equality bill. Each of them are championing issues that matters to them, but I really want to turn over, with the limited time that we have, to the audience, questions that you all have. So I'll take a question from Simon.
Stuart Scott, and SMRs, bills on small modular reactors in the past, which taxpayers will be subject to development costs for the development of these reactors. Well, we use solar in Virginia. We use nuclear in Virginia. That's 20% roughly of our energy. On the other hand, the small reactors are unproven technology. Only one has been approved in the U.S. That was the Utah Power in January of 2023. Then in November of 2023, both the developer and Utah Power agreed to cancel it. It had gone from $3 billion in cost estimates to $9.3 billion. Given the Dominion's record, does it make sense to go forward with this kind of development like the SMRs, which are really not proven at this point? In France, it's been very expensive to try to do it.
And I'll restate the question because people online. It's a small modular reactors and Dominion Power's ability to finance technologies.
So, on the Labor and Commerce Committee and the Energy Subcommittee that I'm on that committee, I was in strong opposition to SMRs, right? As you said, it's an unproven technology. One project that is approved imploded, not the figure. Just this last year. Also, when it was originally sold to us, it was, oh, this will be 110 million per project. They wanted to build around 29 of these projects long-term across the Commonwealth. Here's the problem, as you said, the actual cost is around 2.7 billion per project. And so the fact is that at the time, they wanted to have complete impunity to push this on the ratepayer. Here's the issue. That's not okay. All right, especially considering the fact that, oh, solar is working, oh, hydrokinetic is working, oh, wind is working. So why would we put all of this money into something that is not proven to work? Why do we need to be the guinea pig? Especially if it's so very expensive, and if maybe it's really caring about the impact on the ratepayer, this isn't the answer. So what did the governor do? He actually, when they passed the bill, first off, the one bill didn't pass. The one that did pass was the Israel Wind version, which only dealt with the Appalachian power area, the AEC power second state.
Once the bill did pass.
It did, but I'm sorry. Okay, and then here's the issue. The governor did put a limitation on the impact on the ratepayer in this amendment to 125 million. And so that was a positive step in the right direction. But at the same time, I don't think we should go down this road at all. I think we need to double down, triple down on wind, solar, and
I serve on the Commerce Labor Committee, and I'll just say that if this is a good technology for Dominion to invest in, there's nothing stopping them from investing their ratepayer funds in this technology, except for the short range.
They don't need a law to do.
so. All right, one more question.
And back, so thank you all for your service on this May Day. I would just love to hear your thoughts on repealing right to work for less, in particular. Questions on repealing right to work in Virginia.
Yeah, I think it's past time, and we had a repeal the right to work. It's actually rooted in racism and Jim Crow. And so I strongly support repealing the right to work, and hopefully we can get to do that soon, especially with a new governor.
The key word was in the governor that was to see the 154 veto this administration in order to repeal now.
I was just gonna say, I think you have a delegation that is really committed to repealing that right to work legislation. It's gonna be very challenging though, I would say. And we have to organize and actually we're gonna have to reach across the aisle. We're also gonna have to work with members of the business community. I don't think it's just a hard and fast no, the way some people think it is, so.
We got a round of applause for this great. Thank you, Andrew, for coming. Go on to the good second. All right, at this point, I would like to welcome up Chris Silverosa from Hope, Virginia. Chris, welcome to Arlington Democrats.
Thank you very much. I am Chris Rosa. I am former precinct captain for the Arlington Downs. I've been doing still quick to vote and quick democracy in the work that I do. It is May Day, but it's in Hawaii. It's also May Day is Labor Day. So I decided to bring that back today. I am Asian American as well. I grew up in Hawaii. I'm the granddaughter of immigrants. So those issues are important to me. But today we're going to talk about ranked choice voting. As you know, we are going to be using ranked choice voting again in the county board primaries in June. And voting actually starts on Friday in 2 days. So as the poll workers, it's important for you to be able to explain some of the ranked choice voting procedures to voters who may not know about it. Ranked choice voting will also be used in the general county board elections this year, if there are 3 or more candidates for the county board. There is just one seat open this year. So things will be much easier than last year when we had 2 seats open. It's also be used in the school board as well. Yes, and I think the school board caucus is 2 seats open, correct? So it would be more, this tabulation would be more similar to what was used last year. But I'll let Arlington handle that part. So we're gonna talk very briefly about how it works, what the ballot will look like, and how to correctly fill out the ballot. I'll try to answer any questions after that. So when you, let's say we have 3 candidates, in round 1, if there's 1 seat open, the threshold is a true majority. I think the majority is 50% plus 1 more vote. Last year, because it was 2 seats, we were talking about 33% plus 1 more vote. This year, people understand 50% is majority, 51%. Actually has to be 50% plus 1 vote. Fraction. Okay, so in round 1, let's say that we have 3 candidates running, no one has reached the threshold of 50%. So what happens now is that candidate with the lowest number of votes, in this case, the candidate B, is eliminated. Those ballots will then be counted for their second choice votes and redistributed to the remaining candidates. So you can see in this slide in round 2, that 50% of candidate B's votes went to candidate A and 10% went to candidate C. And so when you add those up, then candidate A has actually surpassed the majority threshold. So candidate A will be declared the winner.
When you go to that round, there's 3 votes. Round 2 and 3.
Yes.
The person that's eliminated, all of their votes, won the first, second, third place votes.
Okay, the question was for candidate B is eliminated. I think the question is, will all of their second and third?
Do all of your votes redistributed, all 3 votes on their ballots, or just some of the votes?
For candidate B, they will take those ballots, let's say that's the second choice, 2,500 votes or something. Okay. They would take those 2,500 ballots, the machine will then look for their second choice vote. And that's what's going to count next. It doesn't count unless there's more rounds. And there might be more rounds this year because we have 5 candidates, correct? Okay, so the third place votes for candidate B will not be counted unless it's, need to do that later. Okay. All right, so this is what your ballot will look like. And you'll have the sample ballots with you. They can, because of the limitations of software and hardware that the elections office has, you can only rank 3 candidates. You cannot rank all 5. Okay, same thing as last year. The elections office is in the process of replacing their hardware and software. And so hopefully in the future, even if there's 10 candidates, you might be able to vote, rank all 10. But right now, the limitation is 3. So you have 5, this is the order I believe that was selected with a random draw. This is what the ballot will look like. So the candidate will select one, the voter will select one candidate as their first place choice. They can stop there, or they can go on and rank another candidate as their second place choice, and another candidate as their third place choice. Okay. Next. All right, so this is how they should not fill in their ballot. And you have these, I think you'll have, this is from the Arlington Elections Office. You can find it on their website. I think you'll have it hand out at the polls if people want them. So on the left, it's totally not going to be accepted because they ranked everybody in first place. So there's the calculation machine, there's no way they can tell what your first place vote was. So that ballot will actually be cast aside as an invalid ballot. If you vote in person, the machine will spit it out, and then you can get another ballot to vote again. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. If you do mail in your ballot, I don't know if there's a way that they can determine who's sending the ballot. I don't think there is. So that may be a problem. Okay. On the right, the machine will tabulate the one on the right. But we don't want people signing up one candidate, first, second, and third choice. There's a certain candidate unless we try to tell their voters. Not to be named. The ballot on the right, candidate A was rated 1, 2, and 3. The machine knows that candidate A is first place to vote, it's that will be tabulated. But if that candidate is eliminated, then there's no second and third place, because, you know, your choices are already eliminated, so there's nothing to be fixed. So that would be an exhaustive ballot, it's finished. Okay, so you can explain that. Okay. All right, so that's sort of a real short version. You may want to find out more about how to market ballots, how the tabulation works. There are at least 4 opportunities that I know of right now. One is next Tuesday at 6:30 at the NAACP. I think it's going to be a virtual session. So anyone can get a link and join in. And these will be conducted by the elections office staff, so they know what they're talking about. The League of Women Voters is also sponsoring 3 in-person opportunities, Wednesday, May 8th, 6:30 p.m. Wednesday, May 15th, 6:30, and Saturday, June 1st at 1. You can find these events on the elections website and on the Votes website. There's 1 or 2 more slides. Yep, so you can find out a lot more. There's a lot of information on the Arlington Elections website, including handouts for you. Department of Elections, Virginia Department of Elections also has material information on their website, and Upvote has information as well. So those are places you can look. And so is that it? Oh, she said, I know she added it. So I hopefully that gives you a little bit of an overview, but I really do encourage you to get more information. By the way, Liz White sent her regrets. She had a special event for her family tonight, so she has to take place. I do sit on the board of Virginia's 501c3 board. I can.
I think the best way to think about how to handle the first choice, second choice, third choice is the vote goes to your first choice until that candidate is either elected or eliminated. So the vote will stay with him or her until he's either elected or eliminated. Then it will go to your second choice and will stay with him or her until elected or eliminated. And the third choice. And if every voter keeps that in mind, you'll realize you're not hurting a candidate's chances by giving another choice further down the ballots.
Yes, they are, and it's really by the state board of elections, the tabulation system that they're using. I think it's RC vote tabulator. So it's being used. There was a bill to clarify further the procedures to be used in racial voting elections in localities, but that was vetoed by the government. So, but there, and you can, the final tabulation, voting night, election night, first round votes will be tabulated and posted. Okay, and there might be a winner, but there might not. No one knows. If it needs to go further rounds, that will be done. Last year was done maybe on Friday or Saturday. Have to be mail-in ballots to in. The electoral board has to meet, and if there are any provisional ballots, they can go through those. But they will then scan the. They won't scan the ballots. I think they're on a key flash drive of some sort. But you can actually sit there. Many people here, or any of you there last year when they tabulated, Marie was there, but she wanted to tell. And you can come and watch, and they'll within a few seconds, the results are posted on the screen. So, yeah, it's a tabulation system, it's software, it's been approved. how it works. We can walk you through some of these, events, we're gonna actually walk you through the tabulation system, tabulation simulation. You might get a better idea. Any questions? If anybody's churches or civic associations, et cetera, want some information, contact the elections officer. Happy to send anyone out to any of your organizations. Yeah, school board, okay, well, the question is the school board. Yeah, and I don't know, do you have the sheets? Yes. Oh, you just computer problems, okay. So the Democrats are using electronic system that made the school board offices, which is being run on these branches.
Thank you, Chris Rosa. Otherwise. All right. All right, we got about a half hour left, so, I am going to speed through this. I am covering both the precinct operations and the voter support, updates, because, there's of a third, the like third or fourth string on precinct ops and Tony is still. So moving forward, can I get a motion to approve Stacy Collins as the. By Sunday, all in favor? Opposed? Approved, there we go, awesome. Precinct captains and leaders, save the date for our third annual precinct ops appreciation party. That's going to be on Sunday, May 19th, from 3 to 5 p.m. at the Lover Run Community Center. Make sure that you've RSVP'd with Sarah if you haven't already done so for that. We're preparing for the June primary. I know Sarah's hard at work and so are the precinct captains, beginning to really fill out those shifts for those volunteers. It is a modified poll reading for the June 18th primary. 7 to 10 a.m. will fill, and 4 to 7 p.m. in 1.5 hour shifts. We're going to be asking voters if they'd like to volunteer for Arlington Dems after they finish voting. We had a tremendously successful effort doing this. When we did it for the primary, we got, get this, 550 potential volunteers who expressed interest. That is terrific, and really want to continue with that momentum, especially this year. Slide. Precinct Ops Book Club is going to meet on Thursday, May 30th. The book that they're covering this month is Minor Feelings. That's Kathy Park Hong. It's a book about systemic racism and inequality, specifically in the context of AANHPI Heritage Month. So all are welcome, more than merry. Next. Voter registration. There's going to be a voter registration drive, and the spots are filling up fast. That is currently up on Mobilize. The dates for our early voting poll reading for the primaries are June 8th, 11th, and 13th and 15th. Those Mobilize links are coming soon. And you can contact Tony if you have any questions. We do need to fill those early vote poll reading shifts. That is very important. So look out for those Mobilize links to help make sure it's sent around.
Why are they coming out?
I have to talk to Tony about that. I imagine the next week or so.
I know that the, recruiting volunteers for, what we're doing now for the,
Caucus.
yeah, for the caucus came out way too late, way too late.
Okay,
So
well,
that's why I'm asking.
yeah, I mean, and it's on its radar, and we're beginning the process. I know we have the shifts identified. So we'll get that out. But thank you. Voter support. So the presidential primary, the poll reading has finished for that. Voter registration efforts now on Darlington County for things. All right, beyond Darlington, where's Rose?
Okay, my name is Rose. I've been associated with the Young Earls for a long time. I was a deputy for Steve Baker back in 2018 when I was the chair. And then I left, and then Richard Skinner was the chair, and I was on his Young Arlington team. And then he left, and then he became chair, and I agreed to be his co-deputy. So tonight, I want to talk to you about phone banking, the battleground state of North Carolina. I'll try to do this as quickly as possible. North Carolina was lost by 1.4%. That's 74,481 votes. But you have to keep in mind, this latest Republican national primary, Nikki Haley won by 23.3%, which was 250,000 votes. So with those numbers, I think that Biden has a chance to win this state back. I mean, that's an incredible number. So what we're looking at is eastern part of North Carolina. That's 2.7 million people with 2.1 people who are eligible to vote. And it's 26% of North Carolina. So that's 45.5% mean Democrats, 52.6 mean Republicans, and 1.8%. Next slide. And here are the candidates. Dante Pittman is running for North Carolina House. He has a degree from Quincy Chapel Hill. He was born and raised in Wilson County, with generations of family, so he's well known. He came back to Wilson County to work in the local county government, and he's also an officer in the Army Reserves. So he champions affordable housing, school board funding, public education funding, and economic opportunity for his constituents. The next person is Lorenzo Wilkins. This person has an MBA plus a doctorate in business. He's running for the House also. He's a nonprofit leader and STEM advocate for food literacy. Through his work as chief officer of Innovative Food Shuttle and family board member of Compass Youth Center, he stands for community food access and youth educational opportunities. The third person is James Mercer. James Mercer is running for the Senate in North Carolina, and he's retired lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserve. He founded a nonprofit to connect veterans and homeless veterans for social services, and he also wants to provide kids with kids. So this candidate understands the need for affordable housing and social services for his community. And the fourth one is Claire Kepner. Claire Kepner has lived in Pitt County since 2016. And she's a community volunteer in the Humane Society, United Way, Moms Demand Action, the Maternity Home for Unhoused Women, and she was the Secretary Officer for the Liberal Democratic Committee. She has advocated for common sense gun safety laws, reproductive rights, and affordable housing. So these are the people we're going to be calling along with other people. It's such a good example of community leadership in the district, and that's a recipe for success. Campaigns. Next slide. Okay, why should we vote bank for North Carolina? 2 words: the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court this past week. I don't know if you were noticing the 2 cases. One was this far right radical court waived the case on emergency care that required abortion to save the life of the mother. The other case was a question of immunity for Trump. First of all, why would they be here in this case unless they believe he's above the law? So if we win North Carolina, we can stop him from continuing to appoint Supreme Court justices. Right now, if he was to be elected, there is 75-year-old Clarence Thomas, 73-year-old Sammy Alito. He would appoint probably someone in the 40s. And that would mean you would have the influence of Trump and these ultra-right, I don't want to say conservative, I just want to say radical, all the way up to the year 2060. And it's hard to believe. And to make it matters worse, Justice Sotomayor turned 70 this year. Chief Justice Roberts is 69. Justice Kagan is 64. And it would be a full court, except for maybe, Hitachi Jackson River. That was to happen in a few years. So, if that enough, they struck down the road, ended further action, weakens environmental protection, they are looking to overturn same-sex marriage. That's how bad it is. That is, if there's any reason why you want to defeat Trump, it's because generations of more horrible things we have been in our country.
Yeah.
Next slide. So the thing I'm proposing is 25 false self-bank challenges in North Carolina. And what that basically means that not this Thursday, but every Thursday coming forward, we're asking for you to make calls for North Carolina. It's a simple 25 calls, probably takes 15 minutes at most, maybe 20, but it will have an impact. You might get 1 or 2 answers, maybe none. Or you might think that their phone number is disconnected. Yes?
Those folks run against the Democrats, against the Republicans.
They're the nominees for the Democratic Party.
It's the election gets over.
Yeah. Yeah, for the November election. Exactly. And even when we call these, the script is asking them to support Josh Stein for governor. Just to remind people about Robinson being a local candidate. So we see that in the script. And it's important that so many people need to know there is an election coming up, need to know who's running for governor, and need to know their politics. It's amazing what it is today. I've been knocking on doors in the 10th district for a candidate, and I'm up to 800 doors. And I'm always surprised some people don't know who's primary. Still, just last week. And it's like, yep, there's a primary, it's a congressional primary. And here's my candidate, and there's 12 candidates, do your homework, and I hope you make the choice to my opinion. So that's, next slide. That's a QR code. All you have to do, Kim updates if you're, weekly. We do QR code and you will get the latest mobile license in North Carolina. So 25 calls challenge. I hope each one of you make those calls. It'll make a difference. Thank you.
All right, Karen, we're up for a quick finish update. Karen. Okay, let's move forward, advance. Okay, you know what, one thing I wanted to cover on membership, we're going to have a salsa night on June 10th. And that is going to be, it's a $15 cover that includes a free drink, a salsa class, and a local salsa band. And that's at Renegade Bar in Clarendon, starting at 6:30 for a social hour, 7:30 for the salsa lesson, and 8:30 for a live salsa band. And this thing goes until, is that 1:30 in the morning? Oh my God. Hey, making sure I'm not this is the night, guys, okay. And that's co-sponsored with AYG. All right, outreach. Got it. Brian Paul.
All right, everyone, my name is Brian Coleman. I'm the Vice Chair of Outreach, and I'm really happy that you all stuck around to get to this part of the presentation because I argue that it's the most important part of the presentation. This is your face in the community, it's the outreach team, so I want to give a really warm welcome to everyone who is part of the team and it's done all the important work that keeps us going as an organization. First, we have our general updates. We got our general updates. First, our monthly Randolph food pantry distribution. That's Friday, May 10th, from 2 to 4 p.m. We also have 4 to 5. And if you would like to participate, please reach out to Zach. Please see it over to my right, your left, for any questions on that. Next, we have the labor caucus with our caucus chair, Keith Lewis. So we delivered an event to Starbucks workers last week at the courthouse, kind of a celebration. Our next sit-in will be this Sunday, May 5th, from 11 to 2 p.m. We also been advocating the school board for Major Sanders, the Career Center. And spoke on the 425 school board meeting. We'll be doing a press conference with the NAACP next week, Monday, May 6th at 5 at the Career Center. And our next meeting is virtual this Thursday at 6 p.m. May 2nd. That's for the farmers market, video, and Rob Miller for our vice chairs. And if you have ever been to anyone I've gone, I really enjoy going to farmers market tabling. It's excellent, really meet a lot of great new Democrats we're introducing ourselves to. It's every Saturday mornings from here to election day. Sign up QR code here as well, and any of our recent on the information for this. Next, for our interfaith caucus, we have our caucus chair, Fatima, and yeah, we're organizing right now for the 7th annual interfaith Eid celebration. We need team members to help organize and volunteer. We also need to get our guest list and set up a venue. Please contact Fatima at the email selected here. We'd like to get involved and help, but also in the back of the room. So if you have any questions, like participate, please reach out to her. All right, next disabilities talk with Daniel Davis, the conference chair. We have a special guest speaking at our main meeting, Delegate Patrick Hope, Sunday, May 19th at 3 p.m. The disability caucus also looking to expand leadership team. If you know someone who's passionate about the disability issues, please feel free to reach out to Daniel and go back right there. If you have any questions, you can also email him and find him at the welcome table. All right, next we have the Latino caucus, chaired by Tanya Cemento. Or we are working on organizing Latino communities in Arlington to get out the vote, especially for this important election year. We have our May social, which will be Tuesday, May 28th from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. And in the social, I've been twice now. It's a wonderful time. We meet a lot of new people. I highly recommend it. And we also, as mentioned earlier, have our SALT night. First one will be Monday, June 10th at Renegade at 6:30 p.m. I am looking forward to it. And if you either speak to Tanya or if you see at any point are talking to vice chair today, but please feel free to reach out either to myself or Zach as well for any follow-up questions you might have on any of our outreach events and how to keep you excited that we like caucus. And for women's caucus, we will have Sarah Torrance and Brittany Roger speaking. Vice chair. All right, so welcome to this one. We'll be moving on then. So we have our women's caucus. So Mother's Day, we have Saturday, May 11th at Farmers Market Courthouse, and we'll be joining our women's caucus there for handmade Mother's Day cards. Next, we have the Women's National Health Week, which is May 12th to 18th. The women's caucus will be diving into women's health issues and priorities, and encourage women to prioritize their physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Next, we have the Women's Caucus meeting. We go to the Women's Caucus meeting, it will be on Wednesday, May 22nd, from 6 to 8 p.m. at High Treasure. Celebrating AAA and HPI Heritage Month and enjoy the High Museum. Lastly, we have Military Women's Memorial event on May 27th. From 3 to 5 p.m. at the Military Women's Memorial to celebrate American servicewomen, past and present. Next, we have our Veterans Military Families Caucus, led by Charlie Conrad. We're continuing to create a food drive at every Democratic meeting. They're chipping away our goal of collecting 1,000 pounds donated this year. Still encourage all veterans and military family members, military graduates, vital work for precinct ops. Please reach out to Charlie Conrad if you have any questions, and we are in need of veterans and family members to volunteer to help at the courthouse farmers market, to recruit new veterans or family members to see all the Democrats in office. That's it. And with that, we'll pass it over to AYD and Dr.
All right, thanks, folks. I'm sorry to be the guy standing between you and the door, so I'll be very, very quick. The first thing that comes to top of mind for us is VAYD convention. Thank you to all the sponsors and all the people who've made that possible. Special shout out to Sam Jane, Arlington's own, who was one of the awardees for VAYD of the Year. Congratulations, Sam. So to give a quick April recap, we had the school board candidate forum, which we held on April 16th. A really great turnout. We appreciate all the candidates who are appearing as well. Thanks to Austin Mock for moderating for us. And we had our Earth Day happy hour, which was held on April 22nd. And we had a great blue victory dinner, and of course the after dark was awesome. It's fantastic. Thank you to all the volunteers who made everything happen for us. All right, quick rundown of our May events. We are going to have a contingent at Love Fest at Freddy's Beach Bar this weekend in Airby Square. We are also hosting an AYD County Board Forum, which will hopefully have all of our candidates appear as well on May 21st. That will be during the AYD Gen Body meeting at 6:30 p.m. We'll have the county board forum at 7. We're also working on a May happy hour. We haven't decided on the date and time for that yet, but stay tuned. And that's it from us. All right, Arlington Democrats, wake up! Okay. I'm not gonna send you out. Let's get ready. We got a busy month ahead of us. Really, a lot of exciting stuff going on. Thank you for sticking out. How do we like the Deputy Day concept? Yes. Yeah. Okay. I'll take that as my performance. Thank you guys for joining us in May. See you next month, and I'm excited to see you out there. Thank you.